Hey guys, welcome to this week's forecast. So I'm actually going to start with Sunday, May 15th, because I need to talk about the eclipse that's happening, the full moon eclipse. And I didn't include that in last week, but it's okay, because if you're watching this on Sunday as it comes out, you're going to be prepared. But I did prepare you last week for the flavor of the full moon, which is actually pretty rough. So we've had a rough week. We're going into a new week. I think there's going to be a real shift in energy and how we're feeling in this new week. I think we're going to feel all over the place. It has kind of like a mad scientist energy going on for this week where we're going to like try new things out and we're just like, okay, let's just try this and see what happens, type of deal for the week, which will be super fun. And it may not go anywhere, but like getting our hands dirty in the playground, in the sand, in the clay, in the paint is so important, like for the meaning of life. So I'm like putting this in for Sunday, hoping you guys catch it. And so the first thing I thought when I saw this full moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio was it struck me as grief. The word grief came up, and that there would be some serious loss. And I think this is something that we're feeling through this whole cycle, like from the new moon, when we had that new moon partial eclipse in Taurus, um, to this full moon eclipse, that we're letting go of something that's important for us to let go of. So it's in the sign of Scorpio. And when I think of Scorpio, I think discernment. I think of Scorpio as cutting things away because it is a sign ruled by Mars. So it is about like cutting things away, and it is about defending yourself, but it's more of like this receptiveness. It's more of like being aware that like a direction that you're going isn't serving your long-term goals, or it's just not good for you, or it's going to lead you to a situation where you're going to feel hurt again. And so Scorpio is willing to just end something, even if it hurts them. Like, it's like if you break up in a relationship, like a Scorpio, even if they love that person with all their heart, if they see like, hey, like that person's being abusive or toxic to them, or is like sabotaging them, if they make the decision to cut that relationship off, they're cutting it off and it's for good, because they're looking at that long-term goal. And Scorpio has that stamina to them. So this full moon, I feel like the eclipse, like we're probably gonna feel it Sunday. I feel like we felt it all last week, but it's this feeling of grief, disillusionment, and escape because we have that moon um, on the south node or near the south node co-present, and so there's this feeling of escape and escape into grief, and it makes me think of grief as something that is necessary. So there's a time to grieve. If somebody passes away, it's like inappropriate to just be like, okay, let's move on, no problem, like I'm feeling good again, just think positive, right? There is an appropriate time to stop, to cry, to grieve, to take time out. And I think Sunday, it is a perfect time to take time out. We have the hermit reversed. And so it is like a perfect time out because we also have Mercury in retrograde, and we still have the sun in Taurus. And it's funny because I was thinking like of Taurus and their goals and stuff, and we have the North Node. But then I realized like how much Taurus season has slowed me down and how much that's been like amplified with that North Node there of like, I really want to enjoy myself. I really want to like slow things down. Um, and really like oh, I forget the word of it, like when you really like you're taking time to enjoy it, savor, like really savor the moments. And I feel like that's been amplified with this Taurus energy. um the full moon energy, not as pleasant. And so we have that opposition of the Taurus of really being stubborn about, I want to enjoy the things in my life, and then also grieving that there's a shift in the way that we're doing that. So there is something that we're letting go. Um, like on the other hand, we have an ending happening as well in us. So yeah, Monday, I feel like we're gonna feel a big shift in energy, which will be nice. A sudden shift to vibrancy, fun, enthusiasm, impulsiveness, in doing or learning something new. So we're gonna get into that experimentation phase, I feel like, for the week. And, it's going to be fun. We have the moon opposition Mercury. So that's interesting because, Mercury's in its own domicile in Gemini retrograde. But the cool thing is, like, Sagittarius and Gemini love to learn things together and go and try things. Like Sagittarius will be super inspired and be like, I heard about this new temple and I want to go. And Gemini's like, okay, all right, let's go find out. Let's go see it. Like, cool. I want to learn about it so I can tell my friends about it and like the cool things that happened. And for Sagittarius, it might be more of a inspiring and meaningful experience. So, um, we may not really be able to think clear. Like when Moon is making an aspect to Mercury, our mind gets a little muddled. Like our thinking and strategizing gets a little bit emotional, but we're kind of out of it anyway because we have retrograde. Um, and maybe like our plans get messed up and we're like, okay, we're going to do this anyway. And this seems like the right time to do it. So, I just feel like we're going to move into something really fun. And so just another comment, just before I get into Tuesday on that like lunar eclipse, that full moon lunar eclipse, just that it's going to affect us. Probably lunar eclipses, they take effect much quicker than the solar eclipse. So it's something is ending. It may take a few months to see that, but we do have at least an emotional sense, like a felt sense that something is ending, but we may not actually know exactly what we're ending quite yet. Okay, so then I'm feeling pretty good about Tuesday. I mean, I think we are going to feel all over the place. There is a sense of like just what are we doing still like last week, but it's so fun because for Tuesday, we have the Four of Swords energy. It's always a good card, always fun. And this card actually represents Venus in Aries. Okay, she is wild, reckless party girl. And she may not be like thinking about the future too much. She may not be in her element, but she's definitely going to be having some fun. So I feel like for Tuesday, it's going to be like this pleasant, harmonious, jovial fun, a spark that's meaningful, of a fun vibrancy. We have the moon trining Venus. So Venus is getting some support from the moon. The moon is like, girl, let's go out. Let's have a good time. Let's enjoy. Like this nurturing moon in Sagittarius is helping Venus out, because Venus, she's in her detriment. Mars isn't there to actually show her the ropes, to show her around. So she's kind of lost. Yeah, so I think we're gonna just have more fun with people instead of having a more like fighting energy or nervous or anxious energy with people, which I feel like has come up with Venus in Aries. Um, and then with the next three aspects, we have the moon squaring Mars, we have the moon square Neptune, and we have the moon sextiling Saturn. So that made me think like later on Tuesday, we're gonna have fun, but we're gonna get feisty. We're gonna get into like maybe an argument or be assertive, because about a need or something that we think is necessary. But like, is that thing that we're arguing about like really necessary, or are we a little bit like higher or drunk on our emotions type deal? So this Venus in Aries, it could be like super fun. It's like when you start going out for the night and you have a first drink and you're like, yeah, we're having a good time. You're partying. You're like, all right, feeling good, right? Then you have a few more drinks. You're starting to feel tired. You're starting to feel a little irritable. Someone bumps into you and you're like, what the fuck? What the fuck? I'm going to take you down. So that's what I feel like Tuesday is going to be, but I still feel like it's going to be good. Um, and so, yeah, so we have the moon in a Jupiter ruled sign and still getting support from Jupiter. Um, and then we have like, yeah, but the only thing is, all right, oh, and we also have the moon like squaring Mars in a Jupiter ruled sign. So that made me think of like lost in an ideal or principle, out of disillusionment or annoyance. So there's this energy of like we're ruled by our emotions, but like with Jupiter, there can be this like self-righteous energy of telling people like how we think things should be. But is that really true? Because then we also have the moon squaring Neptune, which can be full of like disillusionment and not really seeing things clearly, plus we're still in retrograde. And then later we have the moon in the last degrees. We have a little like void energy for a lot of the day. So I feel like we're having like hangover time. Later in the day, we probably feel somewhat irritable, unsupported, like self-righteous, like why don't people, see my side of the argument. All right, so then for Wednesday, I pulled the star, and that goes along with like, so we also have Mars conjuncting Neptune. So we've had Mars like going towards Neptune for a while. So it's like misled action or feeling disillusioned or feeling like something is emotionally meaningful, and being driven towards that. But then the thing that we were driven towards like wasn't really like what we thought it was. But now we're going to be coming out of it. So now, like, if there was an action where we were misled or something or not seeing clearly, we're going to start to have more clarity about that. And maybe that's part of that, like, lunar eclipse letting go that we experienced early in the week, like an early flavor of that. So coming out of like misled actions, conflicts or fight, yeah, that were like emotionally meaningful, but we felt misled. And like, I was thinking also, like, maybe we were feeling a lack of power in our intimate relationships or friendships, just emotionally, or I don't know, like something like that, because we had Mercury, we're going to have a Mercury Pluto contra Anticia, so a secret opposition between Mercury and Pluto. And then we have the moon going into Capricorn, and it's going to be co-present with Pluto. So there may be like this energy of like, there have been power struggles. That's been an issue for us. And we may feel like fearful communication, like things coming up for us that are like our worst fears or dreams of ours, but they bring up a lot of stuff. And really hits our like physical security really hard because it's in like that sign of Capricorn. And Capricorn kind of it has a fearful energy to it anyway, like a hesitant energy because it's ruled, it's a Saturn ruled sign. It's not really being supported by Saturn right now. But that's kind of the theme for Saturn anyway, feeling unsupported and out of place. But I think there's going to be a positive thing about being able to handle it. Like we might be able to handle it because we have the moon squaring Jupiter. And so like that gives us some hope or some sense that we're going to be okay, or there's some meaningfulness to whatever is coming up for us that we'll be able to handle. Yeah, so maybe feeling both at the same time of feeling a lot of fear, but then feeling a lot of beauty and hopefulness because, we are in like a Mercury season where we have Mercury in Gemini. And so with Gemini, there's a duality to it. Like a lot of times whenever like Gemini starts a transit, you can usually can sense what a planet is about when it makes an ingress into or out of a sign, like because it gets extra loud. And so with Gemini, like we have these dualities of life a lot of times, like where we have like really messed up things coming up, like really dark things, like, and it's like in a gossipy way, like, oh my God, did you hear about like this lady who murdered her husband type deal? Or just seeing like, I don't know, wars, or you just see like random, just messed up things. But then you also see like really cool and beautiful things at the same time with Gemini energy, which makes me wonder like what it's like to be a Gemini or have Gemini placements. Like I don't have that. I do have a Mercury, like a strong Mercury to my personality because it's in my first house. So I get it to a point, but then sometimes when I see Gemini season, I'm like, what is it like to be a Gemini? If you're a Gemini, like comment, it's like to really just see this balance and just to observe all of these things of like, wow, this is really dark and messed up and fearful and oh my God. But then it's like, oh, this other thing is really cool. And just have all of these things like going on in your life, your field of observations. Yeah, and so it's this feeling of like if fears are coming up, right? And um fears or hopes or dreams, that's good to deal with it. And then we have Mars coming out of its rendezvous with Neptune and starting to see things a little bit more clearly. We do have this hopefulness of the star on Wednesday. And, I think it is like this, like feeling with the five senses, having hopefulness, like learning something, um, getting ready to move forward, but we're not like quite out of the dark yet. Okay, so then for Thursday, I'm feeling good about this. We have the Ace of Cups reversed. So, and we have the Sun trining Pluto. And so that made me think like we're going to have a sense of being able to practically deal with things that come up, and like we can make sacrifices type energies, type deal. And then we have the Moon trining Uranus. So like sudden things may be coming up, like physical disruptions, like things that actually happen. And then this feeling of like getting like some fearfulness with some pleasantness, some feistiness, again, like for a reason, because we have the moon squaring Venus. Then we have the Mercury in a sextile to Jupiter. So like that's positive. Like we have this like back and forth type energy. So I think this is why the Ace of Cups reversed. It's like this new feeling, this new energy. But it's secretive, it's rebellious, it's something going on within us. So, like um it's like maybe a refreshing feeling that's rebellious, like type deal. And then we with Moon and Capricorn squaring Venus in Aries, it made me think like there is a feeling of being in your face, like give me what I want, biatch, like a secret pleasurable like feeling where we're okay with the way that we are, and it's a new feeling for us, and that it might be a little bit rebellious, a little bit in your face. And then the moon is trining the north node in Taurus, so physical hunger. You might actually feel like physically hungry. And then we have Mercury retrograde sextile Jupiter. So I just was going to say a little bit more about that. Like feeling on Thursday, like impulsiveness in a meaningful way, like meaningful plans. Like we don't know what we're doing. We don't know what we need to do, but like let's just go and do something and see what happens. Um, like yeah, it's like we move the power, like it's like we have the power type deal with that Mercury Pluto contra Antisha. So it's a sense of like keeping our power, like that. I think that's what the rebelliousness is about. Being in your face and really experimenting. I feel like with this, like the fiery energy that we have, like the Venus in Aries and Jupiter in Aries, and like just like we have this thing of like fire, like being inspired, moving things forward. And Gemini is like mischievous, like that Mercury energy is like, all right, well, let's like play around and see what happens. And maybe there is like funny, like technological issues, but it's like this mad scientist of like, okay, we're free to do what we want. So like let's like experiment and dabble in things and just like see what occurs, see what happens. And I think like, I don't know, I think this what is this? Am I going into the even the right day? Yeah, Thursday. I think it's going to be fun. And it's about, I think it's about like letting go in a way where we feel secure. And how do we feel secure? How do we let go in a way we feel secure is that we have this like full self-acceptance and rebellious type energy. Okay, so then for Friday, so interesting. We have the moon in Cap, and and we had the 10 of Wands for that day. I like to give a visual. I think this is a nice visual. That's why I've been holding up the cards. But I'm also going to talk about, obviously I'm talking about the aspects too. We have the moon in Capricorn. I think the moon in Capricorn hasn't felt as bad because we have that Taurus energy. And today we're going to have the extra Taurus energy with the sun, because we have the sun in the last degrees of Taurus, and then we have it shifting into Gemini. So like we've been feeling that extra Taurus, like let's take it slow. Um, let's enjoy energy. We may have like an aspect of that. That's why maybe some of that fun rebellion, because it's like, all right, let's just enjoy. That's Taurus. Like let's just enjoy it. Don't bother me. Let's just enjoy it. Um Yeah, so I had a couple of things like coming up. So we have the moon sextile Neptune in Pisces. We have the moon sextile Mars. Yeah, and like the with that moon having some Pisces energy, even if it's Mars, it's like kind of nice. But nice in a like not maybe not a great way, like a text from the ex type booty call or something with like the moon and Pluto. Or like because Mars in Pisces, like taking an emotionally driven action on a desire or fear that feels purposeful, like securing like comfort. With that moon in Capricorn wants to secure comfort, but Taurus also wants to do that. But I feel like it's going to be like a comforting or pleasurable way, or like taking it slow, like trying to like slow down. Um, and early today, I'm thinking with it was like with the Pluto energy and even with the Neptune energy making aspects to the moon, just like having disturbing news or emotions about things we want to be secure or comforting coming up. So maybe something like, oh, we really wanted things to go a certain way. And then we hear things like, "Ugh, like we can't have that," or having disruption to that, or hearing something disturbing in the news or from somebody, or problems with money, something like that. But but then, okay, then we have we're gonna feel a little bit unsupported on Friday. So feeling like emptiness, like, well, that news was not great. Why doesn't people support us? And that's really early, right? But then we have the moon going into Aquarius. And so it's making these like nice aspects to like Jupiter and Venus. So even though Venus is like out of her element, she's getting these nice aspects from the moon when she has like a sextile or a trine, square. And then we have the Aries energy. We have the Aries energy, but then we have like Gemini energy. So we're getting this air energy, which makes me think like, whatever, bitch. And then we have the Mercury retrograde in Gemini, making me think like tech issues that we think are funny, like funny things coming up, because Gemini is super mischievous. And when it's in its own domicile retrograde, I feel like there are tech issues and things that come up that are super funny and super comical, because, Mercury likes to have fun, especially when, he's at home. But I also think with like the moon in Aquarius, with this Mercury retrograde in Gemini, it gave me like mad scientist type of vibes, like trying something crazy vibes, um, like, yeah, we're gonna try something out that's like really wild or crazy or say something crazy. Like just, I don't know, it's like putting on the goggles, like, let's try this crazy idea like we were thinking of. And then, we might have harsh words on Friday, but I feel like it's going to be fun and playful, like aggressive in a fun way. And then, you know, um, then we have the moon, or not the moon, then we have the sun going into Gemini. So it's meeting Mercury. It's like hanging out with Mercury. Mercury's retrograde, but it's there. And even though it's under the beams, it's in Mercury's domicile in Gemini. So Mercury really is the ruler of that house. Um, so even though like Mercury is under the beams, right? So we have things that are going to be hidden or surprising. But again, I think it's just going to be like more fun and mischievous, just throwing us off of our game versus anything like super disruptive. It may be disruptive, but I think it's going to have a playful energy, although it could have a dark energy to it. Like I said, with Gemini energy, you get a bit of both. And now we're going into the Sun in Gemini season. Um, so my thought is like we're the bad girl or guy or the good girl or guy. Who knows? But I feel like we're gonna have an energy of like get the F out of my face or don't F with me. But it's like mischievous, it's playful, it's super fun. Um, yeah, so with Gemini, it could go either way. We could have mischievous energy, light, playful fun, but also with confusion, misunderstandings, that work out. But we may see stuff that's really like messed up or dark or violent along with that like playful energy when we have Gemini come. We see those dualities. Um, And it makes us learn things. It makes us figure things out because I think with Gemini, Gemini has this quality of being able to see things as they really are. Um, and things are all over the place. Like we have so many dualities and things that don't fit together and don't make sense. Um, and so Gemini is like, we can put anything together. Like we can change things all the time because things actually do change all of the time. Things are both really amazing and awful all of the time. And like Gemini energy is like, well, how do we work with these things? How do we make these things work or make a game out of it? Like make a playful game because nothing is really set in stone. Unlike Taurus energy where we were like set in stone and trying to have um some amount of time where it was like things were secure and stable. Also, gossip. When I think of Gemini, I think gossip because Gemini wants to learn things. Gemini wants to tell people about it. It's not everybody about it. So there is like this gossipy energy, like juicy gossip is coming through. Maybe shock because of the retro, especially with retrograde under the beams, or fun or different ideas or like revolutionary ideas. Okay, so for Saturday, we have a lot going on. So I'm just going to tell you the aspects and summarize it because I feel like all these things fit together with we have the moon squaring Uranus. Um, Actually, I'll just comment, whatever. I'm just gonna go, we're in Gemini, we're going into Gemini season. Let's just go with it. Okay. So we have like with the moon squaring Uranus, I'm thinking like revolutionary ideas, but an idea that gets a solid foundation. I feel like even though there's this air energy with the moon in Aquarius, um, and it's squaring Uranus and Taurus, and Uranus tends to be like a liberating aspect, but it's in this like physical sign of Taurus, and they're both fixed signs, so I feel like there's a solid foundation to this revolutionary or idea or breakthrough like for Saturday. And then we have a Mercury retrograde cazimi. So I mentioned yesterday with like a planet being under the beams or combust. It's like so close to the sun, it gets burnt up by the sun. But when a planet is in the center of the sun, it's the sun's special guest. It holds up that planet and it's like the purest form of that planet. And that planet can show you clearly what it is. So it's a centerpiece of life for Saturday. So that Kazemi, I think, still has that revolutionary or mad scientist energy. That made me think that with the moon in Aquarius too. So the Kazemi has us like trying this idea out or learning something clever that can help us um, with technology, negotiations, communications, and it may be an accident or a mishap or something that we like mess up. Um, but I think it ends up like working out. And we also have a Mars Jupiter contra Anticia. So it's like this we have meaningful action, but it could be aggressive or clumsy action that pans out for us in creating a dream, right? Um yeah, because we have still Mercury Pluto contra Anticia, Sun Pluto contra Anticia. Like these things coming up like out of nowhere, I feel like. Yeah. It's like I feel like there's gonna be just this like purge of energy that's like releasing things that's gonna be really fun and good for us. Like everything's comes out, everything's a mishap, things get messed up, but then we see something so clearly or something we want to try. And maybe again continuing that like mad scientist or experimentation. But I feel like there's gonna be a pleasant energy to it. Um, because the moon is going to make a sextile to Venus. I just feel like that's nice. Um, yeah, I feel like there's like a pleasant energy, but maybe a little bit disruptive, but it's like with this Three of Wands, it's like something that gets messed up that like just helps us long term to getting our goals and getting things to like come in. And maybe I mean, I think it's going to be a pleasant energy, but I still think there's going to be a lot of fieriness and a lot of like in your face, like more of the masculine type energy. And that can be really pleasant if you have planets in like fire or air signs. But if you're more of like you're heavier on like water or earthiness, sometimes that fire is a little bit like, you know, too much for people. It's like too in your face or too assertive or aggressive. So, you may have that feel. Um, I'm just getting that sense of like we're going to be hit by something, like hit by this light. And then it's like the perfect thing to have like our ship sail in, to have things that we want like come towards us. All right. And then on Sunday, we have nice energy. We got the Six of Pentacles reversed, but we also have the last quarter moon in Pisces. So this is like, I feel like a more like gentler type letting go. Um, Although we might feel like emotionally, I don't know, like confused or distraught. We might have confused emotional thinking, talkative, but confused. But at the end of the day, we let go of something because it's meaningful and it's beautiful. I think it's going to be a letting go that's less painful than that lunar eclipse in Scorpio earlier in the week. I think it's going to feel more meaningful. Maybe we're still going to feel some sense of pain and letting go of whatever we need to be letting go of in like a big shift or a change in our life. And it's letting go emotionally. It doesn't really matter exactly what that thing was. Probably for our security, I'm thinking relationships for a lot of us, because we had, earlier in the year, the Venus retrograde, and we have eclipses happening in areas that do relate to relationships, but they also relate to like physical and material security and emotional security. So there's a variety of things, but we're all making big shifts in the way that we live our lives. And we have some secret oppositions. We contra Anticia, we have Mars Jupiter contra Anticia, Sun Pluto contra Anticia. So like secretly meaningful action, looking at our fears, and creating action in like an emotional way, emotionally driven action. Still, we have Mars and Pisces, and like cutting cords in a meaningful way is like the sense that I got from that. And it's just like, even maybe we're like bringing things up that would be helpful because we have Mars sextile Pluto. So, dealing with things in a beautiful way. And then we have Mercury retrograding back into Taurus. So interesting. So, we might feel out of sorts again because now we have the sun, which is not supported by Mercury. But I think that like we had this kind of experimental energy, like this mad scientist energy, like during the week. And I think like having like this Mercury retrograde ingress back into an earth sign like Taurus, a physical sign, which is going to be happening all year. We already had that happen when we had Mercury in Aquarius going back into Capricorn. And so it's like we're taking these wild, innovative ideas or observations from life and we're putting them into like practical action to feel good, to be able to take things slow, enjoy our time, like enjoy our life, set foundations, to really have practical comfort and security, like figuring out ways to feel good, with this like Mercury playful energy and the gossip and stuff. Like, how can we implement that? How can we implement that wildness, impulsivity, experimentation in a way that's going to help us like have that comfort, have that joy or pleasure, um, be able to enjoy our lives in the long term so that it lasts. And I think Mercury retrograde in Taurus is going to be asking those questions. And I feel like there's also this like back to basics, going back to our roots when Mercury ingresses back into Taurus. And like that's also the sense I got when I got the Six of Pentacles reversed, like back to basics, back to the like simple comforts that we enjoy. All right, so I'm going to get into the reading for the week to give us some advice. And I didn't do an intro, so just if you don't know me, I'm Valentine Lister. And, if you like this reading so far, if you like my readings, make sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell, share it out to other people so they know about me, because it's just me doing my channel. There's no one else like helping me out. So I really appreciate any good words or sharing out any of my videos. And I do this forecast every week. So if you want to catch it, make sure to get in the know with subscribing and getting notifications and sharing, yada, yada. Also, I'm a professional astrologer and tarot card reader. So if you're interested in that, you can go to my website, valentinelister.com. I have my bio there, information on how to book readings with me, which I love to do for you guys. And yeah. And, I'm getting towards the end of teaching tarot, and it's going a lot slower than I would like. We have that Saturn and Aquarius that's been squaring these planets and Taurus, and I don't know. It's just like, I think all of us, probably you included, are having to go like extra slow with things. And for me, it's like really frustrating. I'm Sagittarius sun, got an Aries moon. I want to go super fast. I don't want to like slow down, but I feel like the past couple of years have been good for all of us, and me with like just gotta like slow it down. So, and actually like set solid roots and foundations. And this channel is one of them. It's my baby. It's my love. All right. So let's see what's going on. I'm just going to see like the energy, situations, the advice for the week. All right. Interesting. I mentioned Saturn energy because we have the world. So, super interesting. I was not expecting these cards. Okay. So the overall energy of the week, look at us with our mischievous selves. We have the 7 of Swords upright. So I'm getting the sense already that this is going to be like super playful, fun, mischievous energy for this week, but it may not feel so good for everybody. If somebody is on the other side of our games or mischievousness or playfulness or harsh words, like we may tell people how it is. Like, I think things should be this way. If you don't like it, go screw, like people might not like that. So they may not like it on the other side, but you may be having a lot of fun. But you may not be having a lot of fun when they like give it back to you, but maybe you will. It's all up to you. It's up to your temperament. Like I said, if you have a lot of fire or air, you may really thrive this week and be like, okay, not thriving during that Scorpio eclipse or the more watery things. Like if you're fire or air and like a lot of water comes up, it's like, oh my God, like I'm gonna die. Like I can't sit in these emotions. So we're gonna have stuff everybody can relate to, I think. Yeah, I think there is a lightheartedness, a playfulness, like keeping our cards to ourselves, like not necessarily sharing all our moves and our motives. Like keeping our thoughts to ourselves, or not keeping our thoughts. I feel like we will express our thoughts, but keeping our strategy to ourselves, or even like we can play the game of like, because I'm thinking like Gemini of like, yeah, I can see your point, and they'll agree with you. Actually, all air signs like Libra, Gemini, Aquarius, like, yeah, I can see your point totally. And they can totally see, like, we would totally be able to see like someone's point of view and get it and agree with it, but we don't really agree with it, right? We have our own personal, like, private thoughts about what we personally think or how we personally should live our lives. But we also think there's like a real importance in like letting that person also think what they want about their lives. And we can put ourselves into other people's shoes, but we don't necessarily agree with them. We still have like our own idea of things. And yeah, I think there's like a real playfulness, lighthearted energy. And I think it is a week where we shouldn't take things too personally. Like when people tell us what they think, like they're just expressing their views, and they're just expressing their views and thoughts. And people, I think, are gonna like say things before thinking this week, and and that's just the energy. It doesn't mean that it does, again, like the air sign quality of it doesn't like mean that people don't like with air okay, and maybe this will just be a difficult week to talk, so I'm having trouble getting the words out, so maybe it's just going to be difficult for people to speak clearly and really express themselves clearly, because maybe they're still figuring things out as well. Let's see what we have added to this. So situations coming up for the week. We have the world, and this is like Saturn energy, but I feel like it's a lot of more lighthearted energy. It could be heavier, right? if we have more of like earthiness, like with Capricorn energy, like that Saturn energy is a lot heavier. Like you have physical limitations that you cannot change, like it is what it is. You have to work within limitations. But this is like working within a set of ideas, I feel like. Um, okay, so I'm getting the energy of the week is like playing with ideas in a very grounded way. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, and finding wisdom for the week, like in all of this, like playfulness and ideas. Um, yeah, I'm feeling like the situations coming up are gonna have to do with wanting to follow our heart, with like having this intuitive nudge that a certain idea or certain, I don't know. Yeah, there's like an intuitive part of the week situations where we feel like, okay, I know this doesn't make sense, but I think there is wisdom in what I'm about to do. And I'm going to try it. I know you don't approve of it, but I'm going to do it anyway and see what happens. I'm going to be stubborn and just stick to my guns about whatever it is that I think I'm going to do, and I'm going to try it out. I think there is a sense of love, a sense of soulfulness. Um, to this week. And I think like the world is like energy, the situations, it's more about like playing with ideas and really seeing what happens. And at the end of the day, having a sense of wisdom. But this is like a moon in Aquarius card, and this is Saturn. And so it's like, yeah, it's like I know you don't agree with like what I'm about to do, but I really think there is something to it. And I think that there is like a lightheartedness to it, but the heaviness is like we have to contend with some type of judgment from other people. So that's interesting. Yeah. And so like, yeah, why is this happening? So why is the situation like coming up? Kind of have an idea of that anyway, but the situation may be coming up. We have the Three of Swords reversed. So, um, okay. So I think the situation is coming up because we're not feeling so held back anymore. We're not feeling so restricted or limited, like, like in what we say, and that can lead into what we do. But I feel like there's a lot of like mental energy or talkative, type energy going on for the week. And like, yeah, so there's a sense of we're not holding back. We're not holding back our heart. We're not trying to be adults. That's we're trying not to be so mature and so like putting on a front of maturity, if that makes sense. Because when this card is upright, it's all about like, let me keep my thoughts and ideas to myself. Um, and put on a brave face. And this is like, I don't need to put on a brave face. I'm going to tell you how I feel. I'm going to let my emotions come out. Yeah, and I think there's this also this sense of pain, of deep pain, um, of limiting ourselves, of holding ourselves back out of judgment. I think that's where the pain is. Like this is the, I think there has been a sense of real judgment um, towards ourselves, accepting the judgments of others. Like people are always going to judge us, but we always have a decision of whether like we accept that, whether we take on like people's opinions or not. If you don't want to take on their opinion, just burn a black candle, get some black crystals, right? Like just be like, be gone, wicked witch, We don't have to take on other people's judgments, but that happens anyway. Like we take it on because, when we're children, people teach us how to live in the world, and we need that. That's very necessary, right? It's very Saturn, very necessary. When we come into the world, people teach us things and ideas. But when we get older and when we're adults, we can untangle the things that we're taught and the judgments that are made on us, and we can decide whether we want to keep them or not, right? Now that we have a better sense of like how the world works, when we have our bodies and our five senses, we're not just some soul floating around in who knows where. Like, yeah, we get to decide what judgment we take on. And so I think this week we're going to look at the pain of the judgments from other people and detangle it a little bit, like untying the knot of people's judgments a little bit more and being like, well, how much do I have to hold on to this? How much does it matter what you think of me? How much does it matter what I've been thinking of myself and my abilities? And can I push myself way further than I think that I've been able to in the past? And I think really, I think the answer is yes. Okay. We have the Page of Cups as the advice for the week. And I really think this is like, I think that the advice is we're going to find more compassion and more emotional sensitivity from other people than we're expecting when we hold our own. Yeah. Yeah. So I think even though we're talking about people's harshness and judgments, I also mentioned there's like a playfulness to it. And so I think there still is going to be like like sensitivity. Like there is going to be sensitivity in our interactions with people. I think we will embody a certain amount of sensitivity for our emotions. Like we're really feeling them. Like there's something bringing out our emotions this week. And we may be like intellectualizing. We may be more up in our heads, but um yeah, I think we're going to come across people that are like, you want to have fun? Yeah, me too. And um like I think we're either going to embody or come across people that are like super loving um and maybe that's even the advice of um reaching out to those people that are super loving and super sensitive emotionally. Like it's really important to keep ourselves surrounded by people who are being emotionally sensitive to us. Even though we're up in our heads, even though we're harsh, we need people that can accept us even when we can't think straight, even when we're making decisions that we feel like self-conscious, like when we doubt ourselves, like do we have those people around us that are cheering for us, that are supporting us, that are like, okay, it's okay that you don't have it all together, like things are going to be okay, like and they just enjoy your company and presence. They bring out the playful, the fun part of you. Like, are we surrounding ourselves with those people? Yeah, that's like that's what the message I'm coming through. I think those people will be there, but I also think that we have the advice of surround yourselves with those people. And if those people aren't around, like take a step away, get out of there, right? Like take your cards and go, take your swords and go. You don't need to be around like people who are harsh and judgmental. And I think this is what came up too when I said at the beginning of the reading of don't take things too personally. Like really try not to take it personally. If people are just like have their foot and mouth disease this week because it's retrograde, we have some Saturn energy. Like people may come across as harsh, but I don't think they mean what they say as much as it comes across. And so I think some sensitivity, some like smoothing things over, having a sense of humor this week is going to be super, super important. And I think the outcome of the week is those like happy mishaps are going to lead to a sense of fullness, fun. It's going to lead to a sense of purpose and knowing who you are and being able to be braver and more secure in yourself. And so those good things are going to end up coming in um, because they were like all over the place. Like it's like yeah, it's like getting into Play-Doh or like getting into sand or like paint and like making a mess and then you end up with this beautiful painting. So I think that this week is going to be important like to our life journey in that and important into the way that we have a peek at our soul, like at what brings us joy, at what will bring us happiness and fulfillment. And I think there is a sense of healing and that it will like it's going to light a spark inside of us when that's full of joy and important, and one that maybe we only know about, like that we only know for ourselves. Um, yeah. Yeah, there may be some recklessness and maybe aggressive. We may have some aggressive energy, but I think there is going to be a lot of joy coming out of this week and playfulness. And as long as we don't misinterpret it, because some people might be tired, they might be cranky, there might be some people out of sorts, but keep compassion. Like keep that compassion going on. We're out of Jupiter in Pisces. It will go back later in the year. But keep a sense of humor, playfulness, and compassion for the week. All right, so guys, I'm going to turn the camera over and give you guys an image of these cards. And all right, so here are the cards for the week. All the way to the left is the overall energy for the week. The second card to the left is situations that may come up for the week. The card in the middle is why that situation is coming up. The card fourth from the left is advice for the week. And then the last card, all the way to the right, is the final outcome for the week. So if you need more time to reflect on these cards, please pause the video and I will see you guys soon. Love you.